peace, that here on the broad platform of brotherly love, the high, the low, the rich, the poor, may meet together with one common purpose, the perpetuation of each other's friendship and each other's love. Nice words. Where do they come from? I need an answer. Where do they come from? Yes, sir. No. They come from the middle chamber lecture in the second degree of Masonry. I'd like to begin by stating that our ritual is the most basic and important form of Masonic education, and also, in my view, the most neglected. We've heard wonderful presentations today about all kinds of different Masonic education programs, but I'm willing to bet the leaders of those programs, because I was involved with a lot of them at their beginning, I'd love to see a module in any of these programs that take the concepts, things like project management, stuff like that, and find the ritual reference to all of those things, because they're there. It is the foundation of everything that we do as Freemasons. Oftentimes we're asked, and you heard it asked up here, how does Masonry improve a good man? I would like your ideas. How does Masonry improve a good man? Anybody want to volunteer? Come on, guys, get off your butts and volunteer. Well, how does Masonry make a good man better? Do we pay him? Excuse me?
Through education.
Through education and through holding the ritual in front of his face. In our view, the incorporation of the soaring concepts of the ritual placed in our daily lives is a huge part of our self-improvement. The ritual must be nurtured, taught, and perhaps more importantly, thought about as we live our Masonic way of life. We have a couple of Grand Secretaries, or one past Grand and one current. We read and hear the Grand Secretaries report at every Grand Lodge session. What's the most consistent thing you always hear from a Grand Secretary? They admonish us. They emphasize that we have to attempt to retain the brothers that we already have and the ones that we're making through degree process, and in fact, bringing back brothers who have left the craft. It's my belief that a lodge that puts an emphasis on good ritual work is a lodge that will not have a hard time retaining its members. We state in the ritual that we now hold the brother by a stronger tie. That tie, that glue, is the ritual. I had an opportunity to speak to two young Masons downstairs. And I'm going to quote one of them in a minute. I've written that a man seeking Masonry is searching for something in his life to improve his life. Much like immigrants, how many of you are any Native American brothers in the room? One, okay. Two, okay. So we have two actual Native Americans. That means every other guy sitting here, every other guy came from somewhere else, right? Yes. All of us came from immigrant families at one point or another. Why did people come to America? Well, they came to find a better life. They were searching for something. In order to succeed, our families, those families of immigrants, had to learn the customs and language of their new country. As their grasp of how America worked deepened, so did their ability to identify with their new country, love their new country, and protect their new country. My grandfather came to this country and he learned 2 words of English right away. Very, very important words for him. Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth. Because every guy he worked with, every guy was talking about Babe Ruth. Now, frankly, he wouldn't have known Babe Ruth from the Empire State Building. But when they mentioned Babe Ruth, he went, Babe Ruth, Babe Ruth. Because he was learning what other people around him thought was important. If you look at Freemasonry through the immigrant prism, really it's very, very similar. A man comes to Masonry knowing not much about Masonry. Now, I will admit that with the advent of the internet, it is possible to learn a lot more about Masonry, for example, than even when I joined, which wasn't all that long ago, back in 1985. When I joined, the guys brought me to the downtown temple in Rochester, some guy I never met before in my life walked up to me and said, "Take your clothes off." I said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I'm not doing that." So they got the guy that brought me into the craft, and he ran up, and he said, "No, you got to do this because that's what we do when we go through the ritual process." Oh, okay. So now I'm alone with this other guy again, and he says, "Give me your valuables." I said, "I'm not going to do that." So again, they ran in the guy that brought me in, and they didn't, they were smart. They kept him in the room. And he said, "No, you give your valuables because of this." Then the third thing the guy said was, "Take off your wedding band." And that's when I started getting dressed again. Because I promised that I would never take that wedding band off, and I didn't give a damn. I wasn't taking that wedding band off. That was the way it was. And so I knew nothing, nor was I taught anything right away. That's why I wrote the Brother Bring a Friend Night program, to help guys learn about what they're going to do when they do it. When I was raised, I'm assuming we don't have any entered apprentices in the room, do we? Or one Fellcraft? Okay. Well, I'm not going to give the word, so I can still do it. When I was raised, a person whispered in my ear at the time when they're supposed to give the substitute for the master's word. He raised me up, whispered in my ear, "You want to be junior deacon?" It's a true story. I literally thought that was the substitute for the master's word. Until I went to another lodge and saw it done. I can't say the word because we have some brothers who haven't achieved their Master Masonhood yet. But I was shocked because when the other lodge said the right word, I turned to the guy that brought me and said, "They got that wrong." So, and part of the reason they wanted me to be a junior deacon right away was because the lodge was floundering. And actually was dying. I actually thought it was part of the ritual that everybody had to leave the room during the ritual work. And we met in this huge, gigantic hall in downtown Rochester, and literally the words were echoing off the walls. It was so empty. We begin our enculturation process for the immigrant to Masonry at and where's Chick? Chick, I love you. I'd like to clone you or put you through a Xerox machine about 10,000 times because you were righter than rain. The first impression that a guy has of Masonry, if he comes to a Brother Bring a Friend Night, he learns it there. But when you go to his house or to his apartment and you meet he and his significant other or his wife, you or both, he learns something about who we are. When does anybody realize when he actually hears his very first piece of ritual? When does he hear it? Excuse me?
When the senior says, "Who comes here?"
No. The first piece of ritual they hear is from their secretary, who goes into the preparation room, and he says something very, very important. Freemasonry is far removed from all that is trivial, selfish, and ungodly. It is a structure built upon the everlasting foundation that God-given law, the brotherhood of man, and the family of whose father is God. Our ancient and honorable fraternity welcomes to its doors and admits to its privileges worthy men of all creeds and of every race, yet it insists that all men shall stand upon an exact equality and receive its instruction in the spirit of due humility, emphasizing in demeanor, in conduct, in ceremony, and in language the helpless, groping nature of man at his birth and his need of reliance upon divine guidance through life.